site pretty soon. We're going to be updating the domain to be next generation heights. So look for that change to happen by the end of this month. But guys, it is Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. Central, and it is time for the Daily Climb. Come on in. I would love to see where you guys are tuning in from this morning. Drop your city into the chats so that I know where you guys are watching this from. Maybe you're watching us from Philadelphia. Maybe you're watching us from North Carolina. Maybe you're watching us from Austin. Maybe you're in San Antonio where I am. I don't know. But I want to know exactly where you guys are tuning in from. But welcome to the show where we discuss real money, real career moves, Monday through Friday. And if you are new here, guys, make sure that when you come in, you drop your city in the chat. But most importantly, I need you guys to hit the like button because it helps with the YouTube algorithm. I know you guys have been to this before. You've watched many live streams. You've watched other live streams. You've watched other channel, and they always are asking you guys for likes. And the reason why is because, one, it's free, but it also helps with the algorithm and helping YouTube to promote the show. But y'all, I woke up at 3:30 this morning. My sleep score was lower than it was yesterday. I felt good yesterday when I woke up. I felt fantastic when I woke up yesterday. This morning I woke up. I was a bit dragging. It was, a sleep score of a 83 and a daily readiness of a 56. So I felt that. I felt every bit of that. And it's so cool how technology that you wear on your arms at night can really determine how your body has rested and relaxed and how you were able to get into deep sleep. And that's important. That's how you watch your health. That's how you monitor your health. So I sleep with this watch on because I get to monitor my health. To get to see it, Ant Dog. Good morning, my man. But guys, we got a good show for you. We got a CEO who just told President Trump, no. And he said it to his face at the White House. Multiple executives got fired overnight. Companies are openly saying that they're cutting workers with AI. And the biggest company went public in 3 years while most people were sleeping. So, guys, my coffee is strong this morning. I feel good now after my nice little leg workout. I did some squats today. And we're going to be covering some serious executive drama that's happening right now in the corporate world. So, guys, make sure, again, you hit the like button because we are about to break down the executive moves and the company changes that will potentially impact your career. But guys, Monday night, Tuesday morning have proved that corporate America is moving fast, especially in the world of AI. Let me break down what happened overnight. Let me go to my screen here. So Intel CEO, Lip Boo. I call him Lip Bomb if you guys saw the show last week. But he just met with President Trump at the White House after refusing to quit. And he's still the CEO. So last week, President Trump called the man out and basically says, you need to resign now. Just imagine getting called out by the President of the United States. That's what happened. And I'm going to share with you guys a video on why it happened in a quick breakdown, because I want to give you guys a quick recap. Let me do this real quick.
But Dan, I do want to follow up and ask you about what's going on with Intel and its CEO, Lip Bhutan, who is reportedly going to be meeting with Trump today on a very different issue.
Yeah, this is basically Trump trying to oust him. He said that he had to leave the company, that he was, quote unquote, very conflicted. And this kind of goes back to his days with Cadence. Cadence just settled a suit with the government, basically saying that they had provided some materials to a university that the government believes has links to the Chinese military. And so, they settled. And then Senator Tom Cotton had come forward and said, look, this is a big deal. Someone should, look deeper into this. Lip Bhutan has some investments in Chinese companies. He is a U.S. citizen. And so, there's this kind of back and forth as to, do his prior, kind of instances of investing in Chinese companies make him good for being Intel CEO or not?
So you guys heard it. So this is the reason why he went to the White House, because Trump called him out. Now you guys have the debrief. But also 114 companies filed official notices to fire people in August. That's 20% more than July. So there's going to be more videos of layoffs. There's going to be more videos, more TikToks, more everything about people getting laid off. And you're going to see a lot more articles, and you're going to see a lot more people potentially in your family, hopefully not, that are going to be impacted. We also had a company called Figma that just went public, and it is worth $68 billion. Now, this is interesting because Figma CEO said that AI is making specialized jobs disappear. We're going to hit on that in a little bit later in the subject, in the segments on this show. But also, multiple CEOs got fired and quit overnight. And Amazon stock dropped 7% because their cloud business missed expectations, while Microsoft is claiming that they're winning the cloud war. So it is an interesting set of events that happen over the night that I want to make sure that you guys are up to speed on. And that's what we're going to be covering in today's show. But guys, it looks like we got Ant Dog in the house. We got Blackmon Outdoors in the house. He said morning from Hawaii. Currently 2 a.m. LOL. He is still tuning in. It is early in the morning, Blackmon, man. What are you doing out there in Hawaii? NC Realtors coming to us from the beautiful city, Wake Forest. Beautiful college as well, too. But today we're covering the executive changes that's happening right now. The changes that decide who gets fired and who gets hired. The industry fights that's changing entire sectors, and how to position yourself when executives are making some of these big moves. And I'm gonna tell you like this, guys, these executives are making some really, really big moves. So we're gonna title this segment The Corporate Battlefield. I like that one, man. I like that one, the corporate battlefield. What do you guys think? You guys like that one? Or should we just go with the executive drama and the changes? Let me break this down for you guys real quick, okay? Intel and CEO, Intel CEO and Trump. You guys got the update on that one that I just shared with you. But Intel, if you don't know who Intel is, they are a large chip maker in the United States, the largest chip maker, or they used to be the largest chip maker in the United States, okay? Hundreds of thousands of people worked for Intel at one point in time. And they are going through a very difficult time right now, guys. When it comes down to their business, they are going through a very, very difficult time, okay? So last week, Trump basically told the CEO that he needs to resign, and he needs to resign now, and he needs to resign fast. Now, the CEO is new. He became the CEO earlier this year after the previous CEO ran the company down into the ground. 33% stock loss, businesses failing, and so forth. They are behind in the AI chip war. Okay, new CEO comes. He was part of the board before, and he's working hard to reshape the company. That's the context that I want you guys to know. So Trump called him out, publicly told him to quit on Truth Social. And this man said, you know what, Trump? I want to meet with you. So, instead of him just resigning and putting his head between his legs, he set up a meeting with one of Trump's officials and had a meeting with Trump yesterday at the White House. He didn't go there to apologize for anything. He went there to defend his position as the CEO of Intel and explain why he's staying the CEO. So he basically said, Trump, you know what? You calling me out right now, but hell no, I'm not quitting. I am not quitting. Can you imagine meeting with the president after he told you to quit your job? That takes some serious confidence. And at the time when Trump called him out, Intel stock dropped 4% on this drama. So that was last week. But here's what's interesting. Tan's refusal to back down might actually make the Intel board respect him even more. And this is important for you guys. Sometimes showing backbone proves that you are the right leader. Intel stock after that meeting yesterday went up. Trump no longer is saying that the Intel CEO needs to resign. Matter of fact, he went out and said he is a fine man and he comes from a interesting background and he is the leader that Intel needs. That's what Trump says. So what does this mean for you? Well, when you're called out by people a lot of the times, sometimes you need to address it head on, not run. No reason to run, no reason to hide. This man said, you know what? The president of the United States is calling me out saying that I need to resign right now because of information that he doesn't even know. Trump probably got the information from whatever sources, and it said that this gentleman actually had business ties to companies that were supplying material to the Chinese military or supplying technology or services to the Chinese military. This gentleman is actually Malaysian. Lip Boo is actually Malaysian. I had to do some research on him last night. He's a Malaysian. He's from Malaysia. Then he migrated to Singapore and was educated there. Then he came to the United States and he went to MIT to get his master's and so forth. So he's a very smart man who got it out of the mud and became a board member. And now he's the CEO of Intel. And he's a multi-millionaire, right? He's invested into a lot of companies and he's was a CEO of a previous company. And that company did have some ties to China, which is the reason why Trump found out and people were questioning him. But he explained himself. And now Trump is basically saying he's the right guy for Intel. I want you all to know that you need to address things head on a lot of the times. And when somebody calls you out, address it head on. Don't hide. Don't tuck your tail between your legs and run off. Have that conversation. It happens today in the business world. I've been called out multiple times. People have acted a certain way towards me because of something that they thought was the truth. You know what respect? You know how much respect that you actually get when you address these situations head on? Hey, you know what? I need to talk to you, man. I don't know what's going on, why you're acting like this towards me, but I don't know what you heard, but that's not me. Tell me what you heard and then address it. Like, I see it. I feel it. I've had to do this situation with executives multiple times before. And this is how you prove that you are the right leader for the role when you just do something like address being called out. Okay? But Intel's drama is just part of multiple executive changes that's happened and what's happening just about every single night. Okay? We had other ones. We had 3 other CEOs that resigned over the night. Okay? CleanSpark, a Bitcoin mining and energy company. CEO Zachary Bradford, he quit on Monday night. VIQ, a technology company that they drive digital records and transcription. Their CEO, Sebastian Payer, he quit immediately and they restructured their entire board. H&R Block, who many of you guys are using for your tax services, they announced that their CEO, Jeffrey Jones, is out by December of this year. So many CEOs are resigning because they aren't getting the results. You and I often talk about where we are in a company a lot of time, which is mid-management or entry level or, upper management. But executives at companies, there's a lot of changes that's happening up there as well, too, that we need to talk about. And many of us can't be executives because we're smart enough. And I would even say with the tools that we have right now, such as AI, we're smart enough to run the company. Okay. But when these changes at the executive level happen at once, it's not random. It means that something bigger is actually happening. And I will share this with you. Okay. There's been a lot of board changes over the first half of 2025. So if you think about this, activist investors took 112 board seats in the first half of 2025. That's the most that it's been in 5 years. And these aren't just normal resignations. These are investors who are forcing out CEOs who don't make enough money and make enough money fast. So that's part of the game, right? If you are a board member and you have oversight into a business and the company is failing and you see that they don't have the right leadership, the right CEO, the right processes in place, you have the ability to vote if that CEO should be there or if any of the people who's running the organization should be there. And the board for a lot of these companies are basically saying, we don't have the right people in place. They're not able to adapt. They're stuck in their old ways. They're not changing at all. And what happens? They're forcing people to resign. They're forcing the CEOs to resign. So you're seeing that right now. And while executives fight for their jobs, law enforcement is going after others. Okay? The law enforcement is going after others. You got two people at edgaragents.com, the company that helps businesses file government documents. They got arrested for inside training worth of $1.08 million. Did you hear that? Two people at Edgar Agents. They got busted and they got arrested for inside trading worth $1 million. Guys, you know, when you work for a public company and you get some equity, some stock, right? Boy, oh boy, it seems like it will be easy for you to leak company information out to the public or decide you want to trade against their own stock for the company that you are working with because of information that you hear. You know what? There are rules to that. Companies give you policies. Companies give you rules. Companies give blackout periods. They have a whole policy on stock. And if you do not follow those rules, you will have a light shining up your butt so bright that you will get in trouble. Now, some companies aren't rigid with a lot of that stuff, but they scare you enough to make you say, I don't want to risk it. They scare you enough to make you say, I don't want to risk it. So when people go out there and inside trade, they are basically saying, I don't care. I want the money. I don't care if I get caught. That's what's happening here. That's why these two individuals were arrested. They were basically saying, screw it. If I get caught, I get caught. Because they give you the policies. Most companies give you the policy if you're working for a public company that has stock on the market. You do not trade during these periods. Then you get your stock and all this other stuff in some other account. But you can also buy it on Robinhood and all this other stuff. But if you start to trade it, use options, all that sort of stuff, or you will get caught. I don't care if you are leaking the information to your wife or leaking the information to your cousin or leaking the information to whoever it is. You will ultimately get caught. So don't do it. Okay? You got executives at Namcor, Namibia's oil company. They're facing $300 million in fraud charges. You got executives at lottery.com, the online lottery platform. They're pleading guilty to fraud. So you got people who are doing crimes in the white collar sector, just like you got people who are doing crimes in the real world, down the street, your cousin them, your peoples, your aunts and uncles. They're doing it in the corporate world as well. Stealing. It's basically like somebody going into a store and stealing a bag of chips, but they're stealing money. They're stealing money from the corporate organization. They're stealing money from whatever it is. Invoices and making dummy invoices and asking people to pay for it or putting it into their accounts or whatever it is. You have a lot of that going on in corporate America as well. Okay. So I'm just sharing the parallels that's there for you guys when you see this kind of news that happens. This happens on a daily basis, guys. And your mind may be on the news of CNN and Fox, where they talk about, you know, the guy that goes down the street and pop, 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 right? Or the guy that goes down the street and robs a store, or guys that goes down the street and, you know, comes to New York and puts a hit out on a CEO of the healthcare company. You hear those stories, but these stories in corporate America, they happen every single day. Every single day. Okay? And while regular workers get laid off for being too expensive. You got executives getting arrested for stealing millions of dollars. That's the game. Now, you may say the game is rigged. I don't know if it's rigged or not. But you may say the game is rigged. The whole point of me doing these live streams is to give you guys the game. Okay? MLC, the Daily Show is fire. Blackmon says, currently stationed here in the U.S. Navy as an operations specialist. Can't wait to catch up in the near future and get a coaching call. Book a call with me. Lakshmi, good to see you. Happy Tuesday, happy Tuesday, happy Tuesday. Guys, give me your thoughts. Do you think the game is rigged? I want to hear from you. What do you think about the game when executives are getting, busted and arrested for stealing millions, and you got regular workers getting laid off for being too expensive? You think the game is rigged? Let me know. Let me know in the chats. Let's move on to the next section of the show that I want to share with you guys, okay? The earnings report that happened on last night. Many companies produce earnings. They released their earnings, as I should say. And there were a lot of winners and there was a lot of losers. A lot of winners, a lot of losers. Monday night earnings was big for some companies because these numbers decide which companies are going to be hiring people and which companies are going to be firing people. You may not think it's important, but it is earning. It is very, very important. I think it's important. That's why I watch it, because I can give you guys the latest and greatest news. You got Gilead Sciences. Many of you guys don't know who Gilead is, but you're about to learn today. This is a drug company, and they make HIV and hepatitis treatments. They beat expectations on revenue and earnings yesterday. Stock went up 8.3%. Now, what does this mean? This means that they're hiring in sales and research teams for new drugs. Big time. If you look at their stock over time, they've had a pretty good run. They've been out since 1992, and you can see that they've had a pretty good run. 2012, 2014, they were metro booming. Then, they took a dip, and they've been pretty flat in the middle area there, and then they're back high again in 2025. They're back crushing it. So this is a stock that you may consider, doing some research on and determine if this is the company that you want to put some money towards. I wouldn't invest into it, but you may, right? I don't know the board or anything like that, so I would have to do some research on the company, but this may be a company that you may add to your portfolio. But you also have this company called TELUS. In TELUS, they are a cybersecurity company that protects government and business networks, and they beat expectations yesterday, and their stock jumped 50%. And what does this mean for you guys? Well, this means that they're going to be hiring immediately for client accounts. Okay? If their stock jumped 50%, they got a whole bunch of money, and you're going to see positions open for sales. You're going to see positions open for customer success. You're going to see positions open for potentially customer support roles. So look into TELUS. Okay? Stock jumped 50%. They metro booming right now. Business is looking good. Consider looking for them for a job. Okay? You got Barrick Mining. Okay? Barrick Mining, one of the biggest gold mining companies out there. They beat earnings by 47%. What does this mean? Mining jobs are stable and they might expand. Now, this is tough work. I won't own. I couldn't be a miner, but I can work for a mining company. They have operations jobs that they need. They need to expand more. So look into Barrick as well. You can find their website by just doing a Google search, Barrick. Now let's talk about the companies that lost, because there are some losers as well too. You had a whole bunch of losers. And, when you lose, it's not all fun. You got Trade Desk, the digital advertising company that helps brands buy online ads. They beat earnings, but their stock crashed 38%. This was the worst reaction ever. What does this mean? Well, they beat earnings, but the market does not think that they can consistently beat earnings. They're finding revenue, they're finding money, but is it consistent? Is it good? Is it a good business model? Well, the market is reacting like it's not. So what's going to be happening at trade desks? Layoffs. Layoffs are going to be happening at trade desks. Hiring freezes. They had a CEO that just quit. You know, the CEO, he's responsible for money and budgets and what projects ultimately get funded. Well, their CFO just quit. So you already know layoffs are coming and hiring freezes are about to happen. You got Aon. The heating in Aon is a heating and air conditioning company. They missed badly yesterday. Stock dropped 22%. What does this mean? Well, you guys already know what this means. You already know what this means. This means that they're going to be cutting staff. Look at that. Look at that chart. Okay. This is a year out. Doing pretty good up until December 2024. Beginning of this year, they started to go downhill. They had a major drop. They had another major drop. It's only going downhill for this company. So you see how companies are being impacted. And I can tell you like this, heating and air conditioning, these are companies that typically make money. And I want you to think critically about this one, because if heating and air conditioning companies usually make money, especially in, the states that are typically warmer, why would you think that Aon is starting to miss on their revenue, their earnings? Why do you think their stock dropped 22%? Let's critically think here. I want you guys to give me some feedback in the chat. Could this be tariffs? Because you got to think about it, they probably import a whole bunch of equipment from different countries. Could it be tariffs? And this is why we have these kind of shows, is because I want you to critically think, and I want you to really try to understand what may be impacting these companies and what may be causing staff cuts. This is a big drop. If you see this company was actually rising up until December 2024, well, what happened at the beginning of the year? The only thing that happened at the beginning of the year was a new president that came in, right? Now, something could have happened at Aon for sure. You would have to go and do the research. But me looking at this from an outside view real quick, and I'm like, look at this timeline. Could this be tariffs that's impacting this company? Could it be that imports? Could it be them slowing down business because of tariffs? It could be. I don't know, but I want you to critically think like that, and that's how you get out there and do your research. Okay, then you have Amazon, our favorite company, the company that does everything. They beat revenue, but their cloud business disappointed. Their stock is down 7%. What does this mean? The cloud team, there's potentially layoffs going to happen in their cloud team. Or there are going to be changes that's going to be happening at the leadership level. Why is it that Amazon Cloud is slowing? Why is it that companies like Microsoft and Google are growing? Does it have anything to do with the leadership? Does it have anything to do with their go-to-market strategy? At one point in time, guys, Amazon's cloud was the fastest growing cloud business out there. They were crushing it. They still have the majority of the market share when it comes to cloud. However, things have slowed. Maybe they got lazy. Maybe they're getting too juicy, too pudgy, too confident. And now they need to make some changes. But with that 7% drop, because of their cloud business, the disappointment that's there may be changes that's happening at Amazon. So don't be surprised if you see Amazon cutting additional people, and especially in their cloud organization. That's how you get the gain. when you watch shows like this, when you do your research, not just react to the videos that are being put out there and what these companies are doing. You get the game by understanding what's happening. And here's how Wall Street works. You beat expectations, you get to hire people. You miss expectations, you have to fire people. It's pretty simple. That's how Wall Street works. You beat expectations, you get to hire a whole bunch of people. That means your business is growing and you need to grow, and they want you to grow even further. You miss expectations, that means you need to fire people. That simple. Let's get into more earning results. Some companies, Plug Power. This is a hydrogen fuel cell company. They're focused on cost cutting. What this means, only hiring for critical technical jobs. So Power Plug, Getty Images. Many of you guys have seen Getty Images before. The stock company, the photo stock company, where if you're going sourcing some sort of images for a corporate, or you're sourcing images for your live streams like I do, Getty is a big name out there. They release results with no major workforce changes yet. You got Meridian Link, the financial technology company. Their stock is up 24% after beating expectations in buying another company. So they crushed it. They're buying another company, so a merger and an acquisition. And this probably means that they get to hire people to integrate the new company. Now, that's another thing you need to understand. Companies, they beat expectations. They get to buy other companies, potentially, buy competitors, buy adjacent technologies or complementary technologies. And that's what this company seems to be doing. But they need people to be able to integrate the business. And I must say, when you buy a business, there will be some redundancies as well. So that's something that you need to be looking out for whenever you're working for a company and there's an acquisition. Because if you are in a marketing role, or if you are in an HR role and your company is getting acquired, they're going to be making assessments if they need you or not. If your company is being acquired and you are a chief marketing officer, more than likely you're gone. Because why do they need 2 chief marketing officers? If the acquiring company has a chief marketing officer and that company is booming and they acquire you, the chief marketing officer is basically eliminated from the company that's being acquired. And that happens across the board. I'm just using the example of a chief marketing officer in this example. But this company will probably also hire people to integrate the new company or use existing resources where they can find them to help with the integration. And I would even tell you like this: mergers and acquisitions inside of a company is actually pretty fun. It's hectic at times, but it actually is fun. So if you are the company that's being acquired and you want something else to do in your career and you're just not sure what path you want to go down, and your company is being acquired and they're telling you that you're going to be on, ask to be part of the integration team, ask to be part of the integration project. You'll be busy, especially if you are a technical person. Let's just say you got to merge sales forces, or you got to change sales forces, or you got to flip the sales force from one to another because you don't need 2 versions of it. This is something that makes some really interesting work. Okay. Then you have a company called Kinney Holdings. It's an investment company. They beat earnings, but missed revenue. What this means, they're going to be hiring carefully for the next couple of months. Okay. So that's the earnings report from last night, guys. I wanted to make sure I share that with you so you know exactly what's going on in the market. Let's move on to industry fights. Before we do that, let me jump over to the chats real quick. Ant Dog says crime escalated in the recession. Make sure I'm not echoing over here. No, I'm not. Good. I just hear myself really loud in my ear. But a casual economist says crime escalated really big since the recession. Crime escalates. You're absolutely right. It does. because people are desperate. People are in debt. I mean, like when you look at the number of white collar crime and you look at the times where the U.S. is in significant debt, like now, you're going to have a whole bunch of white collar crime that's happening. People need to pay their credit cards. They're going to do anything that they can to try to keep up the lifestyle that they once shared with their neighbors, like they had it all. They're going to be desperate. They're going to try to keep up with the people who are showing that they got it all. So what do? They start insider trading. What do? They start to do things that are not like themselves to try to keep that image going. You're absolutely right. Locksmith says, white collar crime versus blue collar crime. Yeah. There's a lot of it on both sides. A lot of the times the white collar crime does not get talked about very much, but that's something that we can talk about on this channel, on these business segments. Ant Dog says, slow and steady progression over rapid success any day, 100%. Build slow versus the fast pace. I want to get it tomorrow. NC Realtor says tariffs are screwing up everything. You know what? Tariffs is a big reason why companies like Aon are potentially not doing so good. Casual Economist can't believe I caught a morning show. I've been only watching the replays for a while. I'm glad that you are here, Casual Economist. Good to see you. Good to see you. Ant Dog says, I'm blessed. I'm part of the core data engineering team. It's only 3 of us, and we are using Copilot to fill the gaps. I'm safe for a year at least. You know what? You're safe for a year. At least you know. At least you know, Ant Dog. I'll tell you one thing. The part of it is you actually know. But you also are building the skills that you need to continue to be valuable to the company. And that's what we talked about yesterday. Companies are going to a hardcore workplace culture. And if you're either delivering results or you're not. And for you, Ant Dog, you're delivering results. So you don't have anything to be worried about, sir. You are in a good situation. But let's move on to the changes that's actually happening in the industry. I want to share this with you guys because this is going to be very, very important. The impact of AI on jobs. This is big. And you guys need to know this. Figma CEO, Dylan Field. Let me share who this guy is because I want you guys to know who he is. Smart guy. They just had a IPO, made a whole bunch of money. Okay. Made a whole bunch of money. But he basically came out and said that AI is empowering generalist behavior and making different job roles blend together. What does this mean? This means that specialized jobs are disappearing. Companies want workers who can do multiple jobs with AI help. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? The CEO of Figma, who just IPO'd, $64 billion. He's a billionaire now. He's saying that specialized jobs are disappearing. Companies want workers who can do multiple jobs with AI. You know, even me, I would say this. I'm a generalist. I have skills across multiple disciplines. I started my career off as a software engineer. I then went into the management route, project management, and then into customer success and customer support. And then I went into sales. So I have a breadth of experience over 19 years across multiple organizations, from development to implementation services to customer success and then sales, right? always getting closer to the customer, because that's what I always was told. You want to make the money, you got to be responsible for the transactions. So that's where I focus my career. You have another thought of individuals who would say you should specialize, because the specialized people are the ones that make the most money. So niche down, have your YouTube channel, have your job, focus on being the best in your specific industry. Give you an example. You're a consultant. You're not a consultant across all businesses. You're a consultant for the supply chain industry. So you only focus on supply chain. That's niching down. That's becoming specialized. That's a specialized discipline. Or you are some sort of developer and you develop applications for a specific industry. Could be finance, whatever it is, right? That's niching down. But you have the CEO now saying that AI is empowering generalist behavior and making different roles blend together. So specialized roles are disappearing. And this is what he's seeing from his business that just IPO. I want to share with you also what executives are saying about hiring, because executives now have their own view about hiring. And this is what some of them are saying. Most executives talked about cost control and efficiency. We talked about this in many of my live streams. What's the buzzword for this year? Efficiency, efficiency, efficiency. Translation, more layoffs are coming, and we are only hiring for AI and compliance jobs. And this is what executives are now talking about more than anything now. Companies that beat expectations are investing in automation. What does that translate to you and I? They're hiring engineers and firing office workers. Microsoft, 9,100. A lot of those workers that they fired was office jobs. They're paying their AI engineers up to $843,000 a year. They're investing into AI. They're investing into the engineers, but they're firing their office workers. Companies that missed are freezing hiring. What does that mean to you and me? If your company missed earnings, update your LinkedIn now. Update your LinkedIn now. If you guys are a specialist in your field, type specialist in the chat. I want to hear from you guys. Are you concerned about this news? If you are a generalist, type generalist in the chat. I want to hear from you guys as well too. Does this make you feel any better? The earnings results decide the employment results. Winners hire, losers fire, and everyone wants people who can use AI to do multiple jobs. That's the new model now. That's the new model. Let me flip back one more time. Okay, so let's make a quick transition here. I want to break down the industry fights that are changing entire sectors, and we're going to come back to the specialist and generalist conversation, because that's going to be a main talking point of this show today. But I do want to break down the industry fights that are changing entire sectors, which will give you a better understanding of who's winning and who's winning more and who's telling you where the jobs are going. Okay? Because if you understand the companies that are winning, the sectors that are winning, the industries that are winning, this will give you those little nuggets of where to take your career, where to be looking for jobs. If you're looking to make a pivot, if you're looking to work remote, that's what this information will give you. Let's start with cloud computing. Okay. We're going to start with cloud computing. Microsoft, the company behind Windows and Office. The CEO, Satya Nadella, big fan of, but they just claim that they are the number one cloud and number one AI company. He's out there marketing. He's saying, you know what? We're big dogs now. You guys can't touch us. Look at this data. Now, this data is AI generated, but it is based on real numbers. Amazon AWS, Amazon's cloud division, has a 34% market share. Microsoft Azure, Microsoft's cloud platform, to have a 22% market share. Google Cloud Services has a 11% market share. Is Microsoft really winning? Tell me, is Microsoft really winning? Now, they may be winning, meaning that they are catching up. Their market share is growing. Amazon is flat. You see that on their earnings report, their cloud division didn't meet expectations. So the entire company's stock dropped 7%. Now, Microsoft CEO shouting, we're the number one cloud and AI company. He has a lot of confidence right now. Nadella is talking like they're winning when AWS still has 34% market share. But here's why it matters for jobs. Microsoft is hiring AI engineers and cloud specialists. Amazon is restructuring their cloud team after disappointing results. Google is expanding to compete with both. Microsoft's hiring AI engineers and cloud specialists, and they're giving them a whole bunch of money. Talking about the average salary for an AI engineer and cloud AI specialist, northward of $800,000 a year. That's the pay package. Or you got Amazon that's going to be doing some restructuring after disappointing results, and you got Google that's expanding to compete with both. This is where you potentially need to take your career. You're going to start to see a whole bunch of Amazon people making that jump. Going to other companies, going to other AI companies, getting picked up. Microsoft, Meta, all those companies are in a recruiting battle for AI expertise, and they're paying top dollar salary. I'm talking about superstar sports figure salary, giving people LeBron James type money. Meta just offered a contract to a gentleman who was at OpenAI for $1.5 billion. And that's B with a B billion. $1.5 billion over 6 years. The guy said no. That's more than LeBron James makes. And he's the number one athlete in the entire world, outside of Messi and those guys in soccer. But it's big time money that they're paying these guys. It's big time money. Let's move over to the EV market, because many of you guys want to buy your little Teslas and so forth. We got Ford, the American truck and car company, Detroit, Michigan. And you have Mini, the small car brand. They just crushed the competition with huge EV sales. Their sales increased by 324%. That's Ford. So Ford is selling more EV vehicles now. Mini, theirs went up 300%. The losers are getting destroyed. So you got Honda, the Japanese car company. You got their electric car sales are down 92%. You got Toyota and Mazda, also Japanese companies. They're still way behind. So Ford and Mini are crushing it right now. Ford is they're expanding their research and battery manufacturing jobs. So you're going to have more manufacturing jobs in Ford. That's here in the United States. Does this mean that terrorists may be working for people who are here in the United States and people who are doing business for the people in the United States? I don't know. Let me know what you think in the chats. Honda is facing layoffs or forced training. The electric car transition is creating winners and losers right now, guys. Ford is crushing it. Mini is crushing it on their EV sales. Let's talk about the banking industry, because that is another one that's being impacted. Yeah, I got to talk about the finance. The FDIC just changed their merger rules, which is starting a whole new wave of bank mergers, okay? You got First Financial Bank Corp. You've probably seen them. They are a regional bank. They're merging with Bank Financial Corp., another regional bank. Dozens more bank mergers are coming. Many of you guys have probably seen your mortgage statements change because a lot of these banks, they're merging. And what you also are seeing is that traditional banks are fighting with fintech companies. So fintech companies are becoming larger. And they're starting to take a whole bunch of market share as well. So how does this impact the jobs that we have? Well, back office jobs are disappearing because of automation. You got digital and compliance jobs that are expanding. Compliance is a good area to be in. I see why people are always talking about GRC. It's a good area to be in. You also have healthcare. Healthcare has its winners and losers as well too. But Wellvana, a healthcare technology company, they bought CVS Health's medical care business. You got Teladoc, the virtual doctor platform, is buying Caliput Health, which is basically a workplace health company, for $66 million. This pattern is basically showing you guys that digital health companies are buying traditional healthcare companies, and they're firing administrative workers while hiring tech people. So even though tech right now is in a bad place, traditional tech, but the hiring for technical type workers should be increasing because of these mergers and acquisitions. And not only that, these companies buying other companies. We'll see. Over time is going to tell. We'll be able to talk about this in the next 6 months and a lot sooner than that to see exactly where the market is really heading. We also have retail. Online shopping is still growing 10%, while physical stores are closing in smaller cities. You got premium malls expanding while average malls are dying. There's a whole bunch of store closures in small towns and a whole bunch of hiring in premium locations and online fulfillment. Now, I got to say, small towns, I live in a small town just north of San Antonio, right? I shop local. But if you are in a small town like, where I am, and you have a Michael's in our town has closed. That's a big box store, but it has closed. They're not doing very good at all because people are buying a lot of those products online. Just the reality of it, guys. Other industry moves, insurance companies, they are starting to merge as well. You have semiconductor companies. They're going to be reporting earnings this week. You got Cisco, the networking company, John Deere, the tractor company. They're going to give us some business intelligence after their earnings call. So we'll talk about that a little bit later or sometime next week. But let me jump over to the chats. Ant Dog says, I love M&A. Stevenson Legenta says, Sophie Bank will in NG and targeting gents. Ant Dog said, text bros up. PBO says, Azure will be the number one in 10 years. So he's seeing it. He's seeing it already. That's awesome, PBO. Darkman Jeff says, yo, Carter Morning Live. Absolutely, man. Professor Blackout says, I'm a specialist. We're going to talk about that a little bit more, PBO, and I want you to give your input on that segment, because they're saying, the specialists, that's not where you want to be. That is not where you want to be. But you, like you typically do, you're going to have your own opinion, and I want to hear what your opinion is on that. And I got to say, I don't think it's black and white. But let's talk about that right now. Let's talk about that right now. This is going to be some career intelligence that will give you guys a little bit more insight about your career and the future of work. And I want to have this live chat with you guys, like about this segment, okay? Because Figma's IPO and their CEO, based on their statement about the future of work, they are saying generalists are going to become the new thing, especially with AI tools. So Figma, the design company, design software company. Let me put his image back up here again because I want you guys to know exactly who this guy is. Okay. They design software that web designers use that makes it very easy for them to create web pages and so forth. They went public on Monday and they're worth about $68 million. And it's been the biggest IPO in 3 years. IPO means initial public offering, meaning a company that was private. They're public now, right? They have to answer to Wall Street. Their shares are open to the market for people to purchase. But here's what the CEO, Dylan Fields, said that should worry every specialist. He says that AI is empowering generalist behavior. Product is blurring with design, and development is potentially even parts of research. All this is becoming less distinct. Those were his words. Let me read that to you again because it may not have been clear on how I read it. He's basically saying that AI is empowering generalist behavior. Product is blurring with design, and development and potentially even parts of research. So multiple fields of discipline are merging together. And this is all becoming less distinct, he's saying. What's your thoughts on that? The CEO of a $68 billion company just told you that specialized jobs are disappearing. And companies want generalists who can do multiple jobs with AI. Let that marinate for a bit. So this is the specialist versus generalist debate. And what does this mean for your career? Well, if you're a graphic designer who only does graphics, you're about to be replaced by someone who can design, code, and manage products. If you are a developer who only codes, you're about to be replaced by someone who can code, design, and understand business. If you are in marketing and only can do one type of marketing, you're about to be replaced by someone who can do social media, analytics, content, and sales. That's what that means. Now that I have said that, give me your thoughts. Because I say yes. Because there's many people who are so narrowly focused to the point where they don't think outside their box. And you and me have come across those individuals before. We're like, man, how come they just stop the process? Going outside of the box, thinking creatively, it's hard for them. But you and I can probably do their work now with AI tools. I sure can. I had one of my friends the other day ask me, they came across my show. They was like, man, Antoine, how come, is there anything that you can't do? And I said, there's a lot of things I can't do, but I can learn. I have a lot of exposure in multiple areas. It's like, how in the world do you come up with a show like this and you actually have it like a CNN type of a show? And I say this takes practice, takes work. Me coming up to you guys every single day is going to help me even more. My pauses are going to come a lot less. My stuttering, my scripts are going to become better. Practice. But that's what they're basically saying from a CEO perspective, is that now generalists who have a lot of curiosity, the ability to think, they knows a little bit about everything, now they can be more empowered with tools like AI. So the specialist guys are potentially going to be the ones that are eliminated. PBO, give me your thoughts in the chat. Guys, Ant Dog, Darkman, Stevenson, NC Worker, Lakshmi, give me your thoughts on this one. BMC, give me your thoughts on this one as well too. Casual Economist, I want to hear from you. What's your thoughts on this? And then you have other billionaires that are chiming in. Billionaire investor Vinod Kasha says you have to optimize your career for flexibility, not a single profession. Mark Anderson from the big venture capital firm. You guys have heard his name before. He says, I would bet more people. He says, I would bet more on people who are able to be broad, knowing something about a lot of different aspects of life. When billionaire investors all say the same thing, I think we should listen. They're telling you that narrow specialists are becoming obsolete. Now, you don't have to listen because, I want you guys to question it, hear the information, question it, do your research, and determine if it's right. I don't listen to people because they're a billionaire or how much money that they're making. I go and try to see it from my own experience and see if over my lifetime, where I've had multiple roles and had years of experience in multiple areas, has that benefited me? And I can tell you like this, it has. And now with AI and how I use it, does that give me an advantage? I say yes. Have I ever thought about if I would have stayed down the path of engineering and becoming a really deep warehouse management specialist, if I would have had the breadth of knowledge that I can now use in AI? I would say I wouldn't have. So to me, what they're saying is true. Now, I want to hear from you guys. PBO says, I was training people to do risk acceptance. The company started using AI to do risk acceptance on software. Super interesting. It was pretty good with no training. It was about 90%. I agree with generalists. I always wanted to have some domain knowledge. He agrees. Wow. PBO actually agrees. My big bro actually agrees when he typically takes the contrarian view. NC Worker says, I agree. With AI, companies are swearing up and down that since AI is making jobs easier, they want a generalist because it's another way for them to put more work on you without more pay. Very smart, NC Worker. I agree too. So it seems like I have some people that agree. Anybody disagree? Leave it in the chat as well. Anybody who disagrees, leave it in the chat. Now, I want to transition now to the part of the show about now how to become a generalist. This is where you guys are going to get the meat of the show. We all talked about the entertaining stuff all before, but now I want to give you guys the meat. How do you become a generalist? I studied this last night. I studied this morning. You learn AI tools for multiple jobs, not just for your current one. So you have to build skills that cross different department lines and focus on understanding business strategy, not just the technical work. Develop analysis, develop communication skills and problem solving skills across different areas. A lot of it comes from being willing to say yes and being curious enough to work in different organizations. So I have 19 years into the game right now, just about 20. Okay. And I've been in multiple organizations besides finance. And I always have said, man, maybe I should have minored in finance, or maybe in my MBA program, I should have went into finance. That's an area now that I have a curiosity in. So for me, how do I get better at finance? Well, I start to take data analysis class. I start to learn a little bit more about finance by researching and using AI tools and using it in my personal life. That's how I do it. But the future, as what billionaires are saying, belongs to people who can use AI to do the work multiple specialists can do. So start building those skills today or get left behind. That's it. It's pretty simple. I mean, you've got the business intelligence now, so there's no reason why you can't start using this information that we talk about on this morning show today. You can start using it going into your workday. Now, here's exactly how you use it to survive and win when executives are changing and industries are happening and reshaping faster than we've ever seen. Okay? We've talked about multiple things today. And one of the things I want you guys to watch going forward is earnings. Companies reporting earnings this week, they affect the hiring. So you think about Swiss Re, Applied Materials, a semiconductor company. You got Cisco, you got John Deere. These are companies that are going to be releasing earnings this week. And it's going to explain to you if they are hiring, firing their people. So if they beat, they hire. It's just that simple. If they miss, they cut. Use this intelligence to time your application process. I also want you guys to track the changes that's happening into some of these companies at the executive level. So when a CEO gets fired, new leadership brings new priorities. And if you are in a leadership role, your job may be eliminated. Or you may be getting demoted. It's personally happened to me. I worked for a boss for about 2-3 years. New leadership comes in. There was no need for my type of a job in his organization. It happens. It happens. What do? You make the switch. You go to another company. You take on a new role inside the company. Now I had the opportunity personally to do something different inside the company. And I did it for a year. And then I said I didn't want to do it anymore. So I moved to a new company. But this is what happens when executive changes at the company. You have CEOs like CleanSpark and VIQ Solutions at H&R Block. They all have new leadership changes coming. So if you work for any of those companies, you know that's going to be changes in those companies. And they're going to bring new priorities inside those companies. I will tell you like this, if you work for any of those companies, you better start networking immediately, especially if you're in a leadership role. I would also say this, position yourself for the winners. You see companies like Microsoft who's declaring victory on cloud and AI. Maybe you want to, especially if you're in a technical role, maybe you want to head that direction. Microsoft Cloud, Ford EVs, digital healthcare companies that are buying other companies, fintech companies, cybersecurity companies. This is potentially where you want to go. I've shared a whole bunch of companies that you guys don't hear of all the time. We talk about the big name companies, the Google, Microsoft, Apples, and all that sort of stuff, right? Those aren't the companies, the best companies to work for. The companies that are unknown, that are still crushing it, are good companies that you should potentially be working for, especially if you're looking for an entry level job or either a mid-level remote job. There are some companies that aren't following this hardcore culture stuff. There are some companies that are. In either way, you got winners on one side, you got losers on others. But you also have losers like Amazon Cloud, Honda, legacy banking, and physical retail. These are losers right now. So potentially you may not want to work for them, or you may not want to invest in those areas. Apply to winners, kind of avoid, sit on the side for losers. Just what it is, man. Do you want to go to a winning football team or a winning basketball team? Yes. Do you want to go to a losing football team, losing basketball team? No. Unless you know that you're going to be able to impact it. Same thing happens in life. Build multiple skills. Start building multiple skills outside of your specialty. If you're in marketing, learn basic data analysis. If you're in finance, learn marketing automation. If you're in tech, learn business strategy. Everyone should learn AI tools and learn it. I'm telling you, man, this script right here, they even built for this show, it has helped me. AI has helped me a tremendous amount because now I don't have to spend 2 days to put together a show. Now, it still takes me an hour and a half to 2 hours, 3 hours, potentially to do a live stream show like this in the mornings because it's the data that happens overnight. So it takes some time. But with AI tools, you get to learn. Now, my workflows is long right now, but over time, it's going to become a lot shorter. You got to manage political risk as well. Intel CEO, he survived Trump's pressure by showing that he has a backbone and he's ready to have a conversation with somebody who calls him out. But a lot of people just won't do that. I got family members who won't do that. If somebody says something to them, they run. They run. If they're called out, they run. But I will tell you like this, if you show that you have a backbone and you are able to have a conversation and do it intelligently, you're going to gain respect because most people will not do that. Somebody calls you out at work, have a side conversation if this has been bothering you. Have a side conversation if it's been bothering you. So that's the game, Ladder Climbers. Today we've covered a whole bunch of business changes that's reshaping corporate, how we go to work, how we show up for work. I mean, telling the president of the United States no and surviving that shows you are a capable leader, shows other people that you are the man. Now the entire world knows that that's the case about Intel CEO. There's a whole bunch of executives that got fired overnight. You also learn that earnings decide who hires and who fires. You also know that there's a whole bunch of business competition that creates winners and losers. And you also learn that the biggest IPO in 3 years told you that specialists are becoming obsolete. That's the news for you guys today. This level of intelligence is giving you guys the game on how to show up to work. And while a whole bunch of other people are getting surprised by CEO changes and layoffs, and they're like, I didn't see this coming. Oh man, that CEO was my friend. Oh man, this company was family. There's no loyalty that's there. Because at the end of the day, it's about numbers. You are watching earnings and you're watching executive moves. While other people go to industries that's dying, you're positioning yourself for the industries that are winning. While others are becoming focused at being a specialist, you're building multiple skills with AI. That's why we have this show, The Daily Climb, every Tuesday morning. That's why we have it every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, not to scare you, but to give you guys the information to win when companies are changing. I mean, like business intelligence, man, people don't understand, but it is power. When they go into meetings and you have a good amount of intelligence, you can speak confidently about something, you know what's happening. People are going to look at you different. It also allows for you to position yourself so that you don't have to be in survival mode. Now, guys, it's time to go to work. Make sure that you smash the like button on this video so that the YouTube algorithm can pick us up. That's what I want you guys to do on our way out. If this video really helped you, I mean, if you learned a lot from this show, share it with other people. It's only going to get better. And if you're new to this channel, go ahead and subscribe and ring the notification bell because we do this daily, Monday through Friday. And if you want to become part of the community, join the Heights on Patreon. You get access to me. You get access to a whole bunch of other individuals who are ladder climbing and crushing it. I'm going to have someone on the show on Thursday to talk about his journey and how he's crushing it. Tell me this in the comment section of this video. What was your biggest takeaway from today's show? I can tell you mine. Mine is really learning that somebody has finally said that being a jack of all trades is better than be a master of one. That's my biggest takeaway from this show today. Hearing somebody else validate that. Because at one point in time, people said, jack of all trades? Nah, man. People say you should be specializing. That's where you're going to get the money. That's what I've been telling a lot of people as well, too, because of the information that's been said to me. Now my message going forward is we got AI tools out here. So you might want to expand, become specialized in an area, but expand outside of that after a few years. Guys, fantastic show this morning. NC Worker says, this is amazing, PBO. Life of Cam says, good day, Mr. Whale. Life of Cam, I'm looking forward to having you on the show later on this week, my man. PBO says, I've been using AWS AI to pair programming, doing data engineering work to get data to the AI engineer, getting ready for the future at 60. I love it. I love it. See, even at the age of 60, PBO is still learning, still crushing, and still growing. That's how we do it, man. That's how you call ladder climbing. That's what you call ladder climbing. Life of Cam, I think you and I are on a calendar for Thursday. We will have to catch up. I'm looking forward to it. Guys, have a good rest of your day. And we'll see you guys tomorrow at 7 a.m. for more of that real career talk.